You ever drive at night, way past midnight, when the highway feels like it belongs to ghosts? If you've ever been on Route 66 alone, you know the feeling I'm talking about. The road stretches forever. The neon signs of dead motels flicker like dying fireflies. And sometimes you see things that shouldn't be there. This is my story, and I swear to you, it's true. I'm a long-haul trucker. Been driving for years, coast to coast, hauling freight, chasing deadlines, and living off gas station coffee. But one night in 2015, I was hauling out west through New Mexico. Route 66. Midnight. No cars in sight. Just me, my rig, and the endless desert. That's when I saw her. At first, she was just a small figure in the distance, walking along the shoulder of the road. I thought maybe I was tired. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. But as my headlights swept across her, I saw her clearly. A young woman, maybe mid-20s, wearing a pale dress that looked way too thin for the chilly desert night. She had one arm out, thumb pointed to the road. A hitchhiker. Now, truckers were warned not to pick up hitchhikers. It's dangerous, could be a setup, a robbery, who knows. But something about her, she looked terrified, like she was running from something. And I made the mistake of slowing down. She climbed in without a word, just pulled the seatbelt across and kept staring straight ahead. Her hair was damp, sticking to her face, and her lips were trembling like she'd been crying. "Where you headed?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. She didn't look at me, didn't answer. "You all right?" I tried again. Finally, she whispered, "Please just drive." Her voice, it was soft, broken, like someone who hadn't spoken in days. So I drove. For a while, the only sound was the hum of the engine and the wheels grinding against the cracked pavement. She sat stiff, eyes darting to the side mirrors every few seconds, like she was checking if something was following us. "Everything okay?" I asked. She finally looked at me, and man, I'll never forget that look. Her eyes were wide, bloodshot, full of fear. "They can't find me," she said. "Who?" I asked, but she turned her face back to the window and stayed silent. That's when I noticed something in my mirror. Headlights. Way back on the horizon, a pair of headlights had appeared. At first, I thought nothing of it. Cars come and go. But the way she stiffened in her seat, like ice water had just been poured down her back, told me it was different. She whispered, "Don't slow down." The car behind us crept closer, its headlights swaying, flickering almost unnaturally. I pushed the rig a little faster. But no matter how fast I went, those headlights stayed behind us. Not gaining, not falling back, just hovering. I flipped my CB radio, called out to see if any other truckers were nearby. Static, dead air. The girl, she curled into herself, whispering over and over, "Don't let them catch me. Please, don't let them catch me." Finally, I said screw it and pulled into the next gas station I saw, a lonely spot with flickering neon lights. I figured maybe the car would pass us by, but when I looked back at the road, the headlights were gone, like they'd never been there. I pulled up to the pump. The girl was trembling, gripping the door handle like her life depended on it. I turned to her and said, "Listen, I don't know what's going on, but maybe you should call someone. You got family? Friends?" That's when I realized she was gone. Doors still closed. Seatbelt still fastened. But the seat was empty. I froze. My chest went tight. I swear, she had been sitting right there. I stumbled out of the truck and rushed inside the gas station. The attendant, an old man with tired eyes, looked at me like I'd seen a ghost. "You look pale, driver. Everything all right?" he asked. "There was a girl," I stammered. "She was just with me in the truck." The man shook his head slowly. "You ain't the first one to see her," he said, "and you won't be the last." He pulled a faded newspaper clipping from under the counter. The headline read, "Young woman found murdered off Route 66. Case unsolved." The photo, it was her. Same dress, Same face. She died out here years ago, the man said. They say she's still running, still trying to escape whoever took her life. I felt sick. My hands were shaking. And then, as I turned back toward my truck, I saw it. In the side mirror, just for a split second, her face. Pale, eyes wide, sitting in the passenger seat again, then gone. I didn't sleep that night. I kept driving until the sun came up, until the desert stopped feeling like it was swallowing me whole. I never saw her again. But to this day, every time I take Route 66 at night, I check my mirrors a little too often. Because maybe, just maybe she's still out there, waiting for someone to pick her up. If you're still watching this in the dark right now, you're braver than most. Make sure you're subscribed because the next story is even darker. Highways at night feel like a different world. You stick to the main roads, you're fine. Keep your eyes straight ahead and you'll get home. But take the wrong exit and you might never make it back. I learned that the hard way. It was summer of 2019. Me and 3 friends, Jake, Sam, and Lila, were driving back from a weekend road trip in Arizona. We'd been hiking, camping, drinking too much beer around campfires. You know, the kind of trip where the drive home is supposed to be the boring part. We left late, too late. Midnight came and went, and we were still hours from home. The highway stretched on, straight as an arrow, nothing but desert and stars. Jake was driving, blasting some old rock playlist. Lila was dozing off in the back, her head against the window. I sat up front, fighting to stay awake, watching the endless yellow lines flash beneath the headlights. That's when we saw the sign. Sam pointed. Hey, take that one. Says there's a diner. I am starving. Jake shrugged and turned the wheel. That was our mistake. The off-ramp was rough, full of cracks and weeds, like it hadn't been used in years. At the bottom, the road narrowed into a 2-lane stretch that disappeared into darkness. No streetlights, no signs of life, just empty asphalt cutting through miles of flat nothing. Lila stirred awake. Where are we? Miller Road, Jake said. There's supposed to be a diner up ahead. But the farther we drove, the more wrong it felt. The road seemed off, like it kept twisting in ways that didn't make sense. The air inside the car grew heavy, and even the radio cut into static. After 10 minutes of driving, we saw it. A town. It was small, just a few streets, a diner, a gas station, a row of houses. The kind of place you'd expect to see in the 1950s, but looked alive. The diner's neon sign glowed red. The gas station lights buzzed faintly. In the windows of the houses, warm yellow light flickered, as if families were inside, living normal lives. But the streets? Empty. Not a single car. Not a single person. Jake slowed the car. This is weird. We should just go back, Lila said, hugging herself. But Sam laughed. Come on, this is perfect. Creepy little town in the middle of nowhere. Let's grab food. And against our better judgment, we pulled into the diner. Inside, it smelled like coffee and fried food. A jukebox in the corner hummed faintly. The booths were clean, silver napkin holders gleaming under fluorescent lights. But there was no one there. No waitress, no cook, no customers. Just plates of food sitting on tables. Burgers and fries, pancakes, half-empty milkshakes. As if everyone had just stepped away and never came back. Okay, screw this, Lila whispered. We're leaving. But Jake, being Jake, wandered behind the counter. Hello, anyone here? That's when the jukebox started playing. No one touched it. No one was near it. But the old record spun to life, and a scratchy voice filled the diner with a song from decades ago. And then the lights flickered. We heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, crunching against gravel outside the diner. I pressed my face against the glass. Shapes were moving out there. People, dozens of them, but their faces were hidden in the shadows. They stood just beyond the glow of the neon sign, watching. "Jake," I whispered, "get away from the counter." Sam cursed under his breath. "What the hell is this place?" Then one of the figures stepped forward. For a moment, I saw its face in the neon light. It wasn't right. The skin sagged, the eyes were too dark, the smile stretched too wide, like a mannequin trying to look human. And they were all looking at us. We bolted. Jake shoved the door open, and we sprinted to the car. The second we slammed the doors shut, those things started moving. Fast. Too fast. Figures swarmed from the houses, from the gas station, spilling into the street. Their smiles wide, their heads jerking unnaturally as they rushed us. "Go!" I screamed. Jake floored it. Tires screeched, gravel flew, and we tore out of that town as the figures chased, their faces warping in the headlights. The road twisted again, endlessly, like it didn't want to let us leave. Every turn brought us back to the same main street, the same diner, the same grinning faces closing in. We were trapped. Finally, Jake shouted, "Hold on," and jerked the wheel down a side road we hadn't seen before. The car roared forward, and for a split second, I thought we'd made it. But then a pair of headlights came straight at us. There was a blinding flash, the sound of screeching metal, and then darkness. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. The car was on the side of the highway. Broken glass everywhere. Jake was gone. Sam was gone. Lila was gone. I was the only one there. A highway patrol car pulled up not long after. The officer asked what happened. Well, my friends were. Why we gone off the road? But when I told him about the town, the diner, the people, he just looked at me strange. "There's nothing out there," he said. "No town. No Miller Road exit. Hasn't been for 50 years. To this day, I don't know what we stumbled into. Maybe it was a ghost town. Maybe it was hell itself. All I know is sometimes when I drive at night, I still hear that jukebox song. And when I glance in my mirrors, I swear I see them. Those smiling faces, waiting for me to take the wrong exit again." You ever get that feeling when you're driving at night? That someone's following you? That every time you check your mirror, the same car is still back there, matching your speed, refusing to pass? That happened to me once. But what I saw wasn't just another driver. I was coming back from visiting my parents one weekend. It was late, close to 2 a.m., and I was on a back highway in rural Kansas. No towns for miles, just fields, silence, and darkness so thick it felt like the world ended outside the reach of my headlights. That's when I noticed it. Headlights, far behind me at first. At first, I thought nothing of it. Just another late-night driver. But after 10 minutes, those headlights were still there. No matter how fast or slow I went, they stayed the same distance away, like they were locked onto me. I checked my mirror again, and the car was gone. Just gone. I let out a shaky laugh. Maybe they'd taken an exit I hadn't noticed. But then, bam, the headlights were back. Closer this time. Too close. The car behind me swerved slightly, its lights jerking side to side. I could almost feel the driver's eyes on me. I gripped the wheel tighter, heart racing. And then, just like before, the lights vanished. I'd had enough. I spotted a small roadside motel up ahead and pulled in, hoping to shake off whoever was behind me. The clerk was this old man, thin and tired looking. As I signed in, I asked, "Hey, do you get a lot of drivers around here at night?" He gave me this long, uneasy look. "Not many," he said. "Why?" I told him about the car, the headlights that kept vanishing and reappearing. His face went pale. "You saw it too," he muttered. He leaned across the counter. "There's an old story," he said. "Back in 1970s, a family was killed on this highway. Head-on collision. People say their car still drives the road at night. Shows up behind lone travelers. Follows them. Sometimes takes them." I try to laugh it off. Ghost stories. Just local folklore. But when I got to my room and pulled back the curtain, I froze. The car was parked outside. Engine off. headlights still glowing. I shut the curtain. Heart pounding, I told myself it wasn't real, that I was just tired. But all night, through the thin motel walls, I could hear it. The low rumble of an idling engine. And when I finally worked up the courage to peek outside in the morning, there was nothing there. No tire tracks, no car. But when I got back on the highway, the first thing I saw in my rearview mirror was a pair of headlights. Story 4. The black figure on Highway 93. Story 4. The black figure on Highway 93. Highway 93 cuts through miles of empty desert between Arizona and Nevada. Truckers call it one of the loneliest stretches of road in America. But if you ask the locals, they'll tell you a different story. They'll tell you about the black figure. It was 2021. Me, my wife Claire, and our 8-year-old son Mason were driving back from Las Vegas after visiting family. We decided to skip the interstate and take Highway 93 instead. Fewer cars, faster route, or so we thought. By the time we hit the highway, it was close to midnight. The desert stretched forever, nothing but sand, rock, and shadows. Mason had fallen asleep in the back, headphones still on. Claire leaned against the window, half dozing, and that's when I saw it. At first, I thought it was a person, a tall, thin figure standing on the shoulder of the road, facing us. No car nearby, no flashlight, no movement. As the headlights swept over it, I realized this figure was pitch black. Not just dark clothing, blacker than night itself. A silhouette that seemed to swallow the light. I slowed down instinctively. Claire stirred. "What is it?" I blinked. The figure was gone. For the next 20 miles, everything felt wrong. My stomach churned. The air inside the car grew heavy, like we were being smothered. Then Mason spoke. His small voice drifted from the back seat. "Daddy, who's that man?" My hands tightened on the wheel. "What man?" He pointed at the empty seat beside him. "The man in the black coat. He keeps smiling at me." Claire whipped around, but the seat was empty. She forced a laugh, but her voice shook. "He's just dreaming." But Mason wasn't dreaming. His eyes were wide open, and tears slid down his cheeks. I pressed harder on the gas, desperate to reach the next town. But then, there was again, standing in the middle of the road, arms outstretched, head tilted unnaturally. I swerved, heart hammering, tires screeching against asphalt. Claire screamed. Mason cried out. When I looked back in the mirror, nothing, no figure, but the silence that followed felt worse, like something had come with us. Finally, around 2 a.m., we spotted a shabby roadside motel. I pulled in, shaking, desperate for a break. Inside, the clerk barely looked up as we checked in. But when he saw Mason clinging to my arm, his expression changed. "You saw it, didn't you?" he said quietly. I froze. "Saw what?" "The figure," he whispered. "Tall, black, shows up to travelers on this road. Folks say if you see it more than once, you don't make it back." Claire grabbed my hand. "Let's just get some sleep." But Mason whispered in my ear that night. "Daddy, he's already in the room." We left before sunrise, desperate to finish the drive. The desert stretched ahead, endless and unforgiving. For a while, it seemed normal again. But around the last bend before Kingman, the figure was there, right in the middle of the road. I slammed the brakes. The SUV skidded, tires screaming, metal twisting as we veered off the road. The world spun. Then everything went black. When I woke up, the car was wrecked against a rock embankment. The windshield shattered. Claire wasn't moving. Mason wasn't in the back seat. I stumbled out, dazed, calling their names. The desert was silent. The paramedics later told me I was lucky to survive. But they never found Claire or Mason. Just 2 sets of footprints leading away from the crash site. Tiny child's prints. And beside them, giant, dark imprints in the sand. It's been 3 years since that night. I still drive, but never on Highway 93. And every now and then, when I glance in my mirror, I see him. The black figure. Closer. Always closer. And I know one day he'll take me too. Still watching? That means you're not scared. Yet. But the stories only get worse from here. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications.